Welcome to We Need to Stop Chugging Pepsi: How to Eliminate Gossip in the Workplace. And now, spoiler alert, it is much easier than you think. So, what we're going to talk about right now is an action plan of how to eliminate gossip in your workplace. Either if you're somebody that's a low level employee or you're the CEO of the company, we're going to define what I think gossip is, why gossip shows up, and how to eliminate it, both from your own self and how to counter it when it appears in your workplace. Now, listen, gossip in my mind is the communication equivalent of chugging a 2 liter of Pepsi and then also making someone else do the exact same thing. I mean, imagine that for a second. I mean, I'm talking room temperature, not even ice cold. And it's just that one moment where you think, oh, this is awesome. I feel great. And then it's just regret after that. It's constant second guessing yourself. Why did I do that? Not to say that I do this all the time, but you can imagine what that would feel like. Now, the elements of gossip also mirror the same non healthy ingredients that you'll find in the soda as well. So let's look at the ingredients. The first ingredient of gossip is that it is primary information that you are not able to share. Someone has shared something with you that you're holding on to, that you're thinking, I'm going to use this to further some sort of communication with someone else, to talk about someone behind their back. The other aspect of it is that it could be secondary information that you're not able to verify. If you can imagine that you're in a courtroom and a lawyer can stand up and say, objection, hearsay, you shouldn't be saying it. The subject is not present. The person isn't in the room. Can you imagine what it feels like when people talk about you behind your back? Right? We don't want to talk about someone when they're not in the room, but if they're not in the room, that is a huge piece of the gossip. And one of my favorite aspects of what I define gossip to be is that you are not willing or able to say it to the subject's face in the next 2 hours. And I'm talking about actually to their face, not a text message, not a FaceTime, not a phone call, but that you're going to find them in the workplace and say, hey, listen, this is how I feel about that. Now, this is just as a byproduct. If it is something that you're willing to say to them, you need to be able to announce that to the people that you're talking to. Hey, listen, I'm going to follow up with this person. I'm going to say this, but it still doesn't make it okay that you're talking about it to someone else before you talk about it to the person. So when does gossip show up? Gossip is a way to fill gaps in communication during times of frustration, confusion, or from a perceived threat to your work or person. This could come in times of transition in leadership. This could come in mergers. This could come in stagnation, or when a company starts to go, the productivity goes down or the profit starts to lose. So that's when gossip starts to show up. You're filling in these gaps. It's kind of just like how you see soda, right? You're not actually getting any nutritional value out of it. You might feel full or something like that, but it's not actually achieving any sort of nutritional goal. So, how can you prevent it from your own perspective? Ask yourself, does this serve a purpose? And purpose is a really strong word for me. I know my other talks and my other keynotes and workshops, I talk about what is it that you have that you define as your purpose professionally and personally. So if it doesn't serve that purpose that you've defined for yourself as a helpful person, a caring person, a hard worker, a good husband, father, mother, whatever it is, if it doesn't serve that purpose, then you shouldn't be saying it. Now, in that situation, we talk about how it's filling gaps in communication. There are plenty of other things that you can fill gaps in communication with. You can talk about a compliment, reach for a compliment about the person that you're talking to, or even about the person you might even be wanting to gossip about, or a callback to a previous conversation. It could be as simple as talking about a fantasy football league or just something that's going on in that person's life that you remember from that last conversation. And maybe just coming from a place of curiosity. We talk about in some of the ways that you can have conversation with people without expending a lot of energy is just ask questions. You don't have to think about saying what makes you say that to someone. You can just say it. Remember, what you're trying to achieve here is to prevent the other person from having to chug that 2 liter Pepsi. When you do this with other people, you're making them do the exact same thing. They're not getting anything out of it, and they're for sure not being able to communicate to you the things that they want to talk about. So, how do you counter other people's gossip? Say you're the other person and you're the one being handed the 2 liter bottle of Pepsi. It's so simple. Start being curious. Start diving deeper into finding out the context of why they're even saying these things. Ask them things like, when was the last time? Or say something like, help me understand. If somebody has something bad to say about someone, something that is bothering them, the way that they're acting or talking or working, say simply, when was the last time you shared with them that this bothers you so much? When was the last time you had a conversation with them face to face about this? Or if you want to dig a little deeper about what it is that is actually bothering them, say, help me understand how bothersome is this to you? The other thing you can do is just call it out. This is going to feel like one of those old Dare commercials or the end of a GI Joe episode, but sometimes you just have to say, "Excuse me, I'm sorry, but I can't be a part of this conversation." Right? Because you're in the room of the gossip, you're participating in it. And if you don't call it out, if you don't say, "Hey, listen, I'm not comfortable with this," then you're just as part of the problem as the person that's actually gossiping. Or just get up and leave. Sometimes it's as easy as faking a phone call. If you're not really comfortable in calling it out, act like you have to go somewhere, check the time, whatever you have to do, but get yourself up and out of that. Let's talk about what happens when gossip goes away. Everything. Subconscious triggers go away. The idea of like, oh, I don't know why, but I just can't trust that guy. Or, I don't really want to confide in that person because I don't know. It's something about them. It's probably because they gossip. Communication improves, right? I talk about filling gaps of compliments and callbacks and sometimes questions. That's a far more nutritionally valued communication gap filler than, say, gossip. Focus turns into positive interactions. We start eliminating gossip, and it's just not part of that communication cadence on a daily basis. Look, you'll feel better. They'll feel better, right? If you're not chugging the Pepsi, you will feel better and no more what I call post-conversational regret. Post-conversational regret is something that I talk about. It's something that rears its ugly head at 3 a.m. on the dot. And it's a bunch of coulda, woulda, shoulda. Should I have said that? Would it have been taken differently if I'd said it this way? And then you start to second guess yourself because it doesn't serve your purpose. And you have that post-conversational regret about what you said. And finally, what you're looking for, especially if you're looking at it from a leadership standpoint, this is where culture starts to develop. Important to note, starts. If you don't have culture or you feel like your culture is lacking, this is what's holding it back. This is the cancer that keeps your company from having a positive workplace culture. Look, so that's how I see eliminating gossip in the workplace. Look at it as chugging a 2-liter bottle of Pepsi. We just don't need to do it. Follow me, hit subscribe, go to kevinmichaelboyle.com, and we will see you next time.